Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Hey, Ukva, comment to my YouTube channel. My name is Nena. Thank you for clicking to watch this video. Now let us talk. We are going to be talking about some of the things that you must know before you move to Sweden. I have a video where I talked about all the good things about Sweden and the reasons why you may consider moving or living in Sweden, but in this video I'll tell you about some other side of it, good and bad. Sweden is good, but there are still some things that you must know or you should be aware about before making the decision to move to Sweden. Okay, so I will start with the education system. I say this because most of what I talk about on my channel for now is for students, but if you're not a student, still listen on or fast forward to the next point I'm going to talk about. But first and foremost, their education system is different. Generally for me, compared to where I'm coming from, I think it's a bit easier, but because I'm new to it, it took me some time to find out how it works, to find out what to take really serious and what to not take too serious. Yes, you take everything seriously, but there are some things that require some special attention that you should not joke with. So let me explain generally how it works. If you're coming for a one-year master's, it's 60 credits and it's supposed to run for 2 semesters, right? Now in Sweden, those 2 semesters are divided further into 2 periods each. So you have 2 semesters in a year and 4 periods in a year. Now, in one period, you could have a course that runs for just one period. Let's say a 6 unit or a 7.5 unit or a 9 credit course that runs for just one period. Now, how long is a period? One semester is approximately 6 months and one period is from 2 to 3 months because you have 2 periods in a semester. So let's say you have a course that runs for one period, maybe a 6 credit or a 7.5 credit or a 9 credit, and you know that the higher credit, the more work you have to do, right? So if a course runs for one period, it will just run quickly for that 2 or 3 months. Then you know that it's going to be a lot of activities to do in that course because it's a short period, okay? So you may want to focus a little on that course. Not that you ignore other courses, but you know that you have to fix this and give it some attention. It's going to take the most of your time. Now you can have some courses that run through the whole semester from one period to the second period. So what it means is that you'll be doing the course from period 1 to period 2, but it's still the same course, while some courses will just finish in one period, maybe just for period 1 or just for period 2. So now for a course, there are different ways or different grading system. It could be a pass or a fail, or it could be graded from A to F. Now inside a course, there are several activities that make it up. It could be made up of assignments, group projects or personal projects, or group activities or group assignments or exercises that you have to submit. So each of these activities have their own contribution to the general course, and sometimes these activities are also graded differently. Some activities could be graded a pass or a fail, or some of them could be graded on a scale of what? A to F. So for every course, don't be scared, it's a bit complicated, but for every course at the beginning or at the start, you'll be introduced to how it's going to be graded or how it works generally. So this is just an overview of the education system or how things are done here, mainly for master's study. I'm not sure if the bachelors are different, but I'm sure it's going to be similar. The education system is a bit different, a bit easier, but it needs a bit more care and attention to details, okay? What you're asked to do it. Where you need clarification, please ask questions. Back home, when you ask questions or you ask a lot of questions, they see you as someone who's unintelligent, but it's better you ask those questions that seem unintelligent than you keep quiet. Trust me, there are many people that will probably not even have the answer to that question, or don't even know anything, but they don't want to ask. And when you ask, you're helping others. So please, you're here for yourself. We really should not care about something else about their education system. I noticed there are lots of group activities, like I've mentioned, and in these activities you get to work with a lot of international people, Swedish, depending on your course, Indians, a lot of people really. And you may be tempted to want to take this let me keep quiet approach, and watch for what they say, the bank bencher style, the mysterious student style, but please don't do that, okay? So if you're in a group, make sure you're contributing, even if to you it doesn't make sense, or they may feel, some of your group members may want to make you feel like your contribution don't count, still please make sure you're a part of the group. Contribute. If they have meetings, be in the meetings, air your opinions, what you think about something. Just make sure you're there, make sure you're active. Okay, if they have responsibilities that you've been assigned, do or carry out your responsibilities. And as much as possible, I would say you document what you do. Just have proof that you're doing something, if you understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, just be there, participate, partake, and once again take advantage of all the opportunities, communication channels that are available to you. I think that's enough for education system, don't you think so? Let's move on to the next one. I know you must have heard about this one a lot and it's the fact that Sweden could be boring. Yes, generally a lot of people say it is, and for me to say that it is, then it probably is, because I'm not so outgoing. I love my personal space, but at some point the boredom was too much for me to deal with. A little bit of this is because Swedes are quite reserved. They will hardly initiate a conversation, and unfortunately most of the black people that you meet here are now adjusting to that lifestyle. When I came here, any black person I see, as a newbie, don't blame me, any black person I see, even if the person is not from my country, is like, oh, my brother. And I'm looking forward to saying hi to the person, but you just keep a straight face. I don't know you, stay your own. It wasn't so easy for me, but right now that I've been here for a while, have adjusted a little, and I don't want to say I'm behaving like that. Just in case you see me on the way, if you're my subscriber and you know me, please say hello. I'll say hi back and we'll probably have a chat or a discussion. That aside, Sweden gets boring, and if you're not careful, you fall into that trap and that roller coaster. I think a way to handle this would be try to make friends. Try to find communities of people. You're exposed to lots of international students, and once in a while they have events, maybe they're dinners, your classmates want to go out to do something. Please try to be a part of it if it's not going to cost you so much. If there's like a school activity, there's usually this welcome activity for students, please be a part of it. If you also have a community of people like you, maybe if you're black, you have some, or Nigerian, it's possible you may have people like you in communities, or if you're Indian, lots of these things. Find out for yourself and try to associate with people. And if you can travel, because you have a Schengen visa, there are some very cheap flights around. If you can travel and visit other European countries when you can, please take advantage of it. If you can afford it, once in a while, go out, do something that keeps you active and sane. I was lucky to have a friend that reached out to me. He's a Ghanaian. He reached out to me and some other Africans, and till date we are still very close friends. So once in a while we hang out together. So all of these things help you handle those times when it gets super boring, because those times will come. Now let's move on to the next topic. Closely following the fact that it gets boring here is the fact that it gets really cold during the winter period, and with this cold season comes the wind of, let's say, laziness. Of not wanting to get up, of not wanting to do anything. All you want to do is lay on your bed and be silly and be lazy. Yeah, you lack motivation. I think there's some scientific explanation for this, because you don't have a lot of sun. Some people take some supplements or vitamins during this period. So just like you sorting out the being bored, you should try to engage in activities, maybe routine activities, be a part of the gym, so it gets you up in the morning, or when you come back from school or the office, you could engage in some of those things that give you a routine that makes you want to do something. That, oh, by this time I have to do this, so it keeps you active. Okay, these are some of the things that you can do to manage your lack of motivation during this winter cold period or season. Now I'm going to talk about something that's not so talked about. Yes, and it is job availability after studying. I've also received this question a lot from people. In another video I talked about jobs for students, but now I'm going to focus a bit on job availability after studying. Is it easy to find a job after studying? It's not easy to get a job anywhere. In fact, the likelihood of you getting a job depends on a lot of factors, which could include your skills, your educational qualification, your experience, your drive, how far are you willing to go to get a job, how often you apply, and how you take advantage of the tools and opportunities available to you. And in Sweden, an additional factor would be the language. Yes, again, I know that I said in one of my videos everybody speaks Swedish, but when it comes to the job market, it's different. Okay, so we even go as far as saying excellent communication skill in both written and spoken. Well, you know, it's easy to speak a language sometimes, but to write it is another issue. So yes, in Sweden, in the job market after graduation, language may be a barrier. Now there are some jobs that may not require Swedish, and they are mostly IT jobs. There are also some companies, some even indigenous companies here that don't ask for Swedish language. There are still some too that there are some roles that they won't ask you to know the Swedish language, but to have a higher chance of getting or landing a job, you need good level of the Swedish language. Also, I think I've heard some people say or argue that some IT roles in Sweden their pay is a bit less or slightly less compared to other countries, maybe the US, Canada, and UK. Personally, I'm not in the IT field, so I really can't say much about that. So these are some of the things that people talk about. Number 5, the cost of living in Sweden is high. As a student, in some places you may get a student accommodation that allows you pay very less, but after studies you would be asked to leave so fresh students can go in. When that happens and you don't have a standard job, you'll be paying for rent of, maybe if you're not sharing somebody, you could be paying for rent of over 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000. Now, depending on the kind of job that you do or your income per month, your rent may be taking close to half of your pay. And when this happens, and then you include other factors, at the end of the day you may not even have a lot to save. You find that some people here just leave salary, you spend this, you pay this, you have some loans, you clear this, and you find it hard to save. This is just to say that the cost of living in Sweden, it's a bit high compared to some, even in the African shops. Some food items there are way more expensive than in some other countries, say in the UK or Spain. You find that the cost of getting some stuff here is a bit higher. I'm not sure why that is, probably the cost of transportation, but yeah, just so you know, the general cost of living in Sweden is expensive. That fact, if your course or your educational qualification that you're going to get here is not in high demand, the truth is you may end up doing some kind of jobs that you ordinarily would not want to do just to survive. And I'm sure this does not just apply to Sweden. Back home in your country, you may have some very cool job, and then you move here to study thinking that after studying you're going to get that big white collar job, sitting in the office, pressing your computer, making phone calls. But the sad reality is it may not always turn out so. For how long you're not going to do that job will depend on you, your drive, how you're willing to develop yourself. So while you're studying, I usually advise that you start checking out jobs, start checking out what they want, what their job market looks like in any country at all. What do they usually ask for? What skills are in high demand? While you're studying, if you can, begin to develop yourself in that line. Even after studying, you're not able to, and then you start this other kind of job that you don't want to do, to avoid staying there for a long time. Develop yourself to meet the demand in the job market, so you're not there forever. So basically, this is all I have to share for now. I hope that you've learned a lot with this video. Please like my video, share, subscribe to your friends if you found it useful. Just have a plan, and I hope that at the end of the day we all achieve what we want and our heart desires are granted. All right, thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Yeah, if you want me to talk about anything specific, drop it in the comments and I'll do my best to make a video in the coming weeks. Goodbye, thank you, bye.